Tonight, Jeff Bezos' lobbying paper, The Washington Post, is in full attack mode against QAnon as Q exposes the network that the mainstream media has been using for quite some time to deceive us with their propaganda. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, every episode starts the exact same way. I thank all my subscribers because there's always new subscribers, and I am very thankful. If you have not hit that button already, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as videos get posted, you'll be notified. Because as soon as information is made available to me, I make it available to you. And we're going to go right into this. We have so much to cover here today, guys. There is just a wealth of information, so we're going to have to start somewhere. And where we'll start is right here. If you guys want to get caught up to where we are and get all these last posts and a whole read-in on what's going on with that, I encourage you to come back here and watch these last two videos. They kind of go with each other, and they'll explain exactly where we are up to now. And you can go even further back if you want to keep watching and learning more about Q. And here is the actual video that will help you learn more about QAnon and the Great Awakening. If you don't are not familiar with it yet, or if you want to learn how to research or get involved and where to find all the information, I encourage you to come here and check that out, and that'll give you a good insight on what you need to know. Now, going into this, right, we have pretty much a few things to cover. I mean, they're all pretty big things, and we're going to try to wrap them into little packages here, but we'll do our best. So you have full attack mode. This is Q. Washington Post leading, sample past 5 hours. And it gives these 3 Washington Post articles, and I can show you this one. But and this talks about another person like myself who works on YouTube who uncovers this stuff, Bill Smith, and it's basically a whole article about him and how the whole plan that we've had from the beginning is to get the mainstream media to cover it, which is totally true. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I just thought that was an interesting article. Now there's 2 more articles that Q points to, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, I will not give one red cent to the Washington Post. I don't care if they're publishing, I care less what they're publishing, to be quite honest. I'm not going to support them, so I'm not going to pay for it. And I know I can go back and find them on the archive, but there's a lot of information to cover, so we're just going to keep to this right now. So if you guys want to archive those and post them down at the bottom in the comments, that's fine. Here you have the one that's about there is a virus in Trump land. And the other one is meet a real life believer in the online pro-Trump conspiracy theory that's bursting into view. But then Q says, who owns the Washington Post? Amazon? What ABC agency is heavily tied to Amazon? And it's talking about what alphabet agency here. And it says these 2 articles that we should be pointed to, which is talking about how Amazon's launching a secret cloud service for the CIA. And this article talking about how the CIA official calls Amazon Cloud Project transformational. Just big things they're doing over there with Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, who is, almost like, looks like Dr. Evil and acts like Dr. Evil, basically. That guy is about as trustworthy as a, pack of ravenous dogs. To be quite honest, when I look at all the stories going in and the disgusting amount of money he makes every day just off of his money, and the ridiculous amount of monopoly that he controls, the size of the monopoly he controls over just the e-commerce in America. He controls over 50% of the retail that's sold, that's online. And to me, that kind of stuff is beyond the scale, and it gives him so much power. He goes out and buys these newspapers to be his political propaganda pulpits, and they go out there and they just make up fake news, and they attack people who report the truth. But Q explains it all right here, so let's just look at this. So first it's talking about the network, right? And for those of you who haven't seen this, Q did post this before, and it's basically like a flow chart of how the MSM get their information from the government. How basically Project Mockingbird works. You have these reporters, and then they're all basically connected to special agents and attorneys and specialists and deputy directors and executives, and they're all getting fed information, right? So that in and of itself is not, a bad thing. I mean, they have to contact these people to get information, but the reporters are basically just reporting propaganda. They're just reporting lies. They're reporting whatever their corporate overlords tell them to, in conjunction with their unelected, deep state, globalist running officials like John Brennan, James Clapper, and others. Those people were basically, they're trying to influence us every day, but then they're influenced by the corporations that pay them through their lobbying it's just a sick circle that they live in up there. And then Q points us to this, which is another flow chart. And this is an interesting one. If you want to look at it a little bit closer, we'll blow it up here. But it's talking about how the actual chain of command works here at the FBI, talking about how it goes from the director down to the deputy director to the special counsel, who was Lisa Page, who had a special arrangement with Agent Peter Strzok, and how Sally Moyer was actually just under Peter Strzok, and how you have Tashina Tosh Gower here working right under Trisha Anderson and Jim Baker. All these people were exposed by Q. Bill Priestap. They were all basically pointed out and saying, look, these guys are really, really not doing a good job. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. But here's the post that we had from Q, let's see, back in May 4th of 2018, where it talks about James Baker, how these people were fired or resigned or forced to resign, and how they became cooperating witnesses, and how, this one just goes over how they were fired or forced out, but that just, it's telling us that these people are the ones who are behind the entire conspiracy against our president. And it's not, I mean, it's crazy, but true, apparently, if you believe what Q is saying here. So it says, fake news, the swamp is being drained, trust the plan, justice, Q. And now finally, I think Q is going to just lay it out here again, saying Q points us to the IG report, the one that we got before. And then Q goes on to say, Figure 3.1, the FBI chain of command for the mid-year investigation. James Comey fired. Jim Rubicki fired. Andrew McCabe fired. James Baker fired. Bill Priestap, power removed, cooperating witness. Lisa Page, special counsel, fired. Peter Strzok fired, or power removed, escorted out. Class F, Michael Steinbach, John Glackalone, Randy Coleman, Trisha Anderson, Kevin Kleinsmith, Tashina Gower, Sally Moyer. Nothing to see here. Logical thinking. Biggest cover-up in U.S. history attempted. Q. So Q is naming names. He's naming names of people who work in the FBI and the Department of Justice, specifically the FBI, who are obviously involved with this Russia hoax insurance policy. Read through Peter Strzok's text messages with Lisa Page. Understand that they were talking about doing exactly what they did. They were talking about undermining President Trump. They were talking about how much they hated President Trump. They were talking about getting together and working with others inside of the agency, or the Department of the different agencies, the DOJ and the FBI, and they were getting together and basically creating an insurance policy. And what was their insurance policy? The fake Russia story, the Steele dossier, working with political operatives all the way up to no-name McCain and the DNC and Hillary, basically both realizing that their little stranglehold on power and their new world order that they were trying to create, that was outside of the purview of the American people, really. It was just a bunch of power elites who, they wanted to turn us into the EU, basically, and to where there's unelected officials that wield the highest levels of power. And that was their whole goal. And they saw President Trump as a threat to them, an actual threat that was, if he won, then they had to get him out because it could destroy their world order. So there you go. I'm going to do more research on all these people, but this is all just coming out. And once I have more, hopefully we'll talk about these more in the future. And you guys will let me know down in the comments if you know anything specific. But I know it's connecting the web. It's weaving the web that shows this is what they did. This is the network they worked in. The 20 redacted pages of FISA will end up showing that these people all worked in conjunction in order to create this fake dossier, or just to use the fake dossier as an excuse to continue to spy on the President of the United States. And that is what's being exposed. But I know this will not be the last time we talk about this. That is what we going to just move on to the next one here. And then the next one is interesting because it is this. And this was a post from June 15th from Q, where he basically lays out who in the media are inside of this little circle. Who are these little red dot people, the reporters who are just basically feckless, useless individuals. They just repeat what they're told, and they're doing a huge disservice to the American people by reporting their fake news and their propaganda. And they're being controlled by outside operators so that they don't give you the truth, right? So these are the people. You can go through the list. And Q's pointing it directly to us, that they have their inside connections. And yeah, they'll all say, well, I have to have sources inside and I have to have this as a source. Well, there's a big difference between having a source and basically blindly doing as you're told and not questioning anything. These people get told, well, this is the story. President Trump's a Russian agent. Oh, let me go report this immediately. President Trump's a Russian agent. Without any research, any investigation, just a bunch of circumstantial evidence, and they refuse to call out the Mueller investigation and its how it's become a fishing expedition. And look, I'm not going to read through all these names, but you guys get the picture, and they're right here. If you guys want, I can zoom it up, make it a little bit bigger so you guys can kind of read these. If you want to pause and read through them, feel free. And if you recognize anybody that you follow, I really suggest you reconsider their credibility, to be quite honest, because that's where we're at now. And then the next one's even better. It's Q pointing us to this, right? As of October 30th, 2017 to July 31st, 2018, there are now, wait for it, 45,000 sealed indictments. And we've talked about this. The average before this was around 1,000, okay? And since basically in the last year, we've gone from, I think it was about 3,000 or 4,000 or something like that in the 2017, then jumping up to 45,000 in in every federal district court. There is sealed indictments that are waiting to be unsealed. And what do sealed indictments do? Well, they allow prosecutors and they allow investigators to bring charges and then seal them so that they do not have to tell the people who are being investigated if it may affect an ongoing investigation. So imagine people like Hillary may have possibly sealed indictments that are waiting to be unsealed to prove, possibly, that she is a criminal. So, and media, you know what? They're never going to report it. They're just going to keep telling you everything's sunshine and rainbows and nothing to see here. Just pretend like you don't have a brain and really go with that. But here, Q actually links to this Stormwatcher's Twitter account. And this is the update here. It says the July update to sealed indictments. It says there have been 4,985 new. That's crazy. 5,000 a month. And before that, there was only about 1,000 a year. So remember that. And you can go to this one if you want to get stats, and then it basically just outlines it with these pictures and the same kind of graphic that we just went over where all the sealed indictments are. But then there's a lot of, there's like a heat map here for sealed indictments in the Court of Appeals. So you guys, if you want to check out all that information, you can come find Stormwatcher at DA Martin 32, and it's a post from yesterday, so it should not be hard to find whatsoever. But yeah, that's what Q's pointing to, and these sealed indictments could be for some of these people in the media, which then you have the complete conflict of interest because they're sitting there trying to tell you that they're the true spokesmen of truth, while at the same time they have sealed indictments waiting to come out to expose them for basically they could get in trouble for a myriad of different things. But I'll just say this. There's no verifiable evidence in that regard yet, but it's definitely a speculation that can be looked at. Now, the next one is interesting, really interesting. So an Anon posts this Eric Trump post from today where Eric Trump says, "The level of hatred and the willingness to disparage my family and our great company has never been so ugly and unrelenting as I have seen recently by the Washington Post. It is clearly coming from the top with one motivation in mind, at Jeff Bezos." Then an Anon here basically puts the same tweet up and then writes the tweet out. And Q points to both of them and says, "Do you believe in coincidences?" Q. So I already know pretty much without a doubt, in my mind at least, I don't have any facts to back it up, but I'm pretty sure Eric Trump is watching the Q boards. He's following QAnon, and he understands probably exactly what QAnon is. That being the case, then obviously we can infer that everything about Q is getting closer and closer to leading us to see that it's really an actual movement here. But that's something with people near the president or the president himself. And that is just another confirmation in my mind, because this post came out just after Q posted here about the Washington Post articles. So, it's kind of like a signal, a nod and a wink, if you will. And then the next one I thought was great. Q responds to his own post here, and it's this qmap.pub, and it's basically going over, and it's, one of the qanon.pub, qmap.pub, wherever you want to go to get your info. This has got all the drops, and it points to that one saying, oh, so yes, the Washington Post, and then that. Yeah, okay, well, we see the Times, we understand. That's very, very clever, and I am just another interesting thing. Now we'll read these, and Anon posted Jim Jordan's Twitter account as of today, where he says, Rod Rosenstein says he's doing the, quote, oath of office obligates us to do. Then why has he failed to comply with congressional requests and subpoenas, been caught hiding information from Congress, and according to media reports, threatened staff on the House Intel Committee? Yeah, that's a great question. Now, Q then points us to this picture right here. And this is from July 25th, so not too long ago, a Q post, where you actually remember he put up the, basically it's the oath that you take to join the FBI, to become an FBI official or agent. And it says, remember, you owe it to your country, to yourself, to your children. We stand with you. The time is now, Q. Now, Q is saying here, think Ray yesterday. Think Rod Rosenstein today. Comms understood. Do you believe in coincidences? Q. So obviously they know that they're being talked to through these back channels, and, the whole Ray and Rod Rosenstein thing. So to me, if you think about Ray and you think about Rosenstein, Ray yesterday, we all saw, for if you didn't catch it, the joint press briefing they had just before Sarah Huckabee Sanders' press conference yesterday with the White House media pool. And basically you had Dan Coates and Christopher Wray and Christian Nielsen and others. I think John Bolton was up there. And they were all basically standing up there answering questions and they gave kind of a joint statement about how the election's going to be, I don't recall if they actually gave a joint statement, but they talked about how, the elections are going to be a priority for them, and they're going to make sure that they're free and fair elections, that there's no tampering, and that Russia doesn't get in. And you had them saying basically Trump is or Russia is a real threat. So you also had Christopher Wray say things like, Facebook should police its own content, stuff like that. So I'm not sure how to read this exactly. The comms are not understood, Q, but I'm sure I'll figure them out as we go. Or obviously with Rod Rosenstein today, we saw the Jim Jordan tweet and how Rod Rosenstein came out. But here you can see he addressed I think it was the American Bar Association. They had an annual meeting, and he went there and gave an address there. And he made this really interesting comment. So I don't know if that means that Rosenstein and Ray are coming on board. I have no idea yet. We're still waiting to see what happens there. But here's the interesting basic takeaway here. You have, we'll just start right here. It says, President Trump selected a superb team of skilled and principled lawyers to lead the Department of Justice and our U.S. Attorney's offices. Rosenstein said, adding, our decisions do not please all the people all the time, in case you haven't noticed. The line prompted a roar from the crowd along with more applause. It says, and then he says, those decisions always reflect the care, caution, and wisdom required by law. He continued, that is what the president appointed us to do. It is what the Senate confirmed us to do. It is what the oath of office obligates us to do. He goes back all the way and talks about how former Attorney General Robert Jackson called it an unpleasant duty in responding to congressional inquiries about law enforcement investigations. Yeah, it's really unpleasant to expose yourself as a criminal. I'm sure it really is, Rod. I'm very sure that that's probably a very unpleasant thing someone has to do when they have to go into a courtroom and expose the fact that themselves and others within their organizations were actually effectively breaking the law, subverting our republic and our democratic system, and actively working against the interest of the American people. Yeah, I would say that's an unpleasant duty, but I hope he steps up to the plate and is a man about it and takes it and does what he has to do and follows the directives that are being given to him. So that's the best I can put together from that. I'm sure you guys will have more. Here's a great one about the Donald. Now, we all know the Donald here is the Donald. It's a thread on Reddit. You know, they're always having posts up here. And to be quite honest, it's really just a thread that covers Donald. But the administrators of this thread have been deleting posts like this all day. So you have somebody says, I don't believe all the Q nonsense, but the mods are acting weird with all of the comment removal right now. These aren't shills. These are people that believe what I think is clearly a LARP. So they think we're a LARP, and they're removing these comments, but Q says something that's very important, just one word: infiltration. So the people that run that, it's being suggested by Q here, have been infiltrated probably by the CIA and other agencies to steer the narrative away from the truth and toward whatever they want to cover, because they saw how big that got going up to the election, and it's still just as big today. So if you guys want to go there and leave your QAnon posts, I encourage you to. If we do it enough, maybe the moderators will run out of ability to delete, but that's just something I thought was funny. Now the next one is the metaphorical kill box here, the bracket saying across all major mainstream media networks. And it gives us this Fox News article talking about what is QAnon, the conspiracy theory group showing up to Trump rallies. And it talks about, what do we believe? And it, of course, it always gets it wrong, basically saying one thing or another that just sounds a little bit off or a little bit wrong. And but this article is not too bad, but it's being exposed and it's being covered. And then they talk about Roseanne, and they talk about what else should we know about the group? Well, the number 17 is important. Really? I didn't know that. And, so there you go. And Q's basically warning us or telling us it's going to be across all major networks, or it's going to stop. I would say that's what that's saying. And it says full visibility has many advantages, right on schedule Q. So we're fully visible right now, and that's a good thing. And they're going to have to stop covering us soon because we're telling the truth, or we're trying to report on the truth, and they don't like that. So I'm sure when they look at this information, they can't bring these tidbits up. I mean, do you really believe they're going to report on this? Do you really believe that they're going to report on how we have literal flow charts on how they are propagandists that are being directed by government officials? All these reporters. Do you really, really believe for 1 second that any one of the people on this list, you know what? I would put money on it. I don't know how much, and I don't gamble really, so I'm just saying hypothetically, like a gentleman's bet or something. I would wager that nobody on this list will write one sentence, unless of course it's debunking this, to say that this is fake and made up, and that we have all these flow charts and organizational charts, and you're like, no, this is all fake. That's not true, guys. That's not true. We're going to go right into this next one. So it gives us a few articles here in a Twitter post, and it says, we have the servers. And so what this is apparently there's been new documents that have been released recently regarding correspondences between Hillary Clinton's legal counsel and the Department of Justice. And those documents uncover a whole slew of different things. But first we have this letter. And this right here is a FOIA request that's been put forth by somebody named Mr. Dunnigan. And Mr. Dunnigan, of course, is Sean Dunnigan of Judicial Watch. And they're requesting the information regarding the FBI, or records between the FBI and Christopher Steele. And they're writing back to inform him that this is as of today, that these documents have now been made available. And here they are. And what's inside of these documents? Well, there's a lot. And it has correspondences between Peter Strzok and Department of Treasury Counsel, and there's just 150 pages of interesting information. But Q points us directly to something specific. And that is this tweet here by let's see, it's by Joel Satchel. Excuse me, we'll just pick it up right here. Yeah, it's by Jordan Satchel. And it says, more surprise, Hillary lawyers announced that there is a successor server that they can request access to. FBI is not thrilled with the revelation. And it goes into these letters. And if you guys want to read these, you can come find him. But they basically say, it basically says it's a correspondence here, I guess. It's between David Kendall, who's a lawyer for Hillary Clinton, and Bill Clinton. And I guess this would be a letter to the FBI. And they're talking about how it's so funny right here. It says, we are concerned that notwithstanding your repeated statements in oral and written correspondence regarding your and your client's willingness to cooperate in this matter, you had not raised the existence of the successor server or offered access to it prior to your September 21st letter. We remind you this server is covered by the preservation letters delivered to Williams and Connolly, LLP, on July 31st, 2015. So this is basically saying, you didn't disclose the fact you have that private server. You didn't tell us anything about it, although we sent you a letter and subpoenaed it. And then you went and you destroyed emails off of it that we've been able to uncover with the bleach bit and the acid washing and the destroying of the cell phones and the BlackBerries. So it's like, really? Like, there's going to be more to come. But Q said something big is about to drop, and I'd say that's something big. Let's see if the mainstream media wants to do their job for once in their lives and actually cover it. And it actually has the S in kill box here, the metaphorical kill box. And I believe that refers back to stroke. But servers, I mean, and that is something that we talked about previously, how there's multiple servers. You have the one we just talked about. We have Hillary's private server, but then you have the DNC server that just has, basically never been looked at by the FBI and only been examined by CrowdStrike, a private company. And then you have the House Democratic Caucus server. That's the whole Awan and Debbie Wasserman Schultz thing. And then you have the Gmail server in North Korea where they were doing dead drop communications using the autosave draft function that was all coordinated by Eric Schmidt, allegedly. So, I mean, guys, there's so much more to this story, and the media won't touch a fraction of it because they're terrified. And we're just going to have to keep doing it ourselves because that's what patriots do. We don't stop. We always follow the truth wherever it may lead us. And now there's a lot of information I probably gleaned over here, but I want to just let you guys know that there's really more to come. I'm going to do another video later where I'll go into some things in more detail and we'll cover if there's any new Q posts. But you guys can stick around, stay tuned for that, and I really appreciate it. Now, a couple things before we go. If you're looking for a way to support the channel, the best way to do it is to come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. Again, click that button if you haven't clicked it already. The second best way is to scroll down at the end of this video and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comment boards because, like I say, at the end of each one of these videos, we try our best to have our own QAnon research board where we don't just talk about the Q posts, we talk about the mainstream media and what they won't cover and what they cover incorrectly, and that's becoming a theme with Q here. So it's not only are we getting the news before they report it, but we're getting the real news before they even would ever dream to report it. So, and we're forcing them to report on it. So we're really winning here. And no matter what they say, no matter how many hit pieces they put out about us and try to call us names and to say we're violent and to put all these dispersions on us, just remember, we are patriots, we love God, and we're just fighting for our country in order to bring it back and make it great again. And then in 2 years, we're going to be fighting to keep it great. Once we re-elect President Donald J. Trump, and the media is just going to have to suffer because they're going to have to learn to tell the truth to the American people because that is what will set them free. Remember, the truth will set you free. So that's pretty much it. If you're looking for a way to support me, come over here and find me on Twitter too. You can find me at Justin_formed. It's a great place to get connected. Hit the follow button. Show me some love over here. I love that you guys come over here, and I always try to, keep in contact with you guys and put posts up about what's going on. So it's a cool way. And even if you don't get all the notifications from YouTube, come follow me over here because all my videos automatically get posted there as well. Now, if you're looking to help out financially, I really appreciate it. You can come over here to Patreon, patreon.com, search Just Informed Talk. When you come to this landing page, click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation, and please, guys, it makes a huge difference. And thank you so much to each and every one of you who have stuck with me and are still supporting this channel. You guys are really what make this channel work. So, before we go, I want to just take 1 second to talk about the most important thing. I want to talk about God. And what part of the greatness of God do I want to discuss today? Well, it's talking about patience, I think. It's talking about how to be patient, how to understand, We want things to happen, and now we're getting this documentation. Now the documentation has to be reviewed, it has to be looked at, and we have to keep putting these pieces together as we go, and this may take time. And as we have said before, time is for some people it's too much time, and for others it's just the right amount, and for others they think it should take longer. But it doesn't matter. All things will happen in God's time, and that's what we need to remember. So before we get too anxious about, well, why aren't they having the trials yet? Remember, March 1st, 2018, President Trump signed into law an executive order that basically reorganized the articles for a court-martial, which seem to now include that public officials who are found to have committed crimes against the country, whether they are in office or out of office, can still be held accountable and put to a court-martial. So if you guys want to go check that out, it's executive order. Here it is. It's the the amendment to the manual for courts-martial in the United States. And you can read through these and see exactly how that's going to work. But just rest assured that January 2019 is going to be a very interesting time, and they're going to do everything they can until then to obstruct and try to delay and try to basically create havoc and anarchy and chaos. And that's what we have to really stay driven and focused and motivated to exposing the truth and holding these people accountable, because all we want is equal application of law. If people committed crimes, they need to be held accountable, and that's what it is. So trusting in that goes directly into this piece of scripture I want to share with you today. And it's not just that. There's people being arrested every day. There's good things happening, and God's grace is truly greater, and it will overcome the evil that is all around us. But here's a great just little piece of scripture I want to share with you from James, the book of James, chapter 5, verses 7 and forward. It talks about patience, and it talks about truthful speech. And I want to share both those things. It says, "Therefore, brothers, be patient until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth and is patient with it until it receives the early and the late rains. You also must be patient. Strengthen your hearts, because the Lord's coming is near. Brothers, do not complain about one another, so that you will not be judged. Look, the judge stands at the door. Brothers, take the prophets who spoke in the Lord's name as an example of suffering and patience. See, we count as blessed those who have endured. You have heard of Job's endurance and have seen the outcome from the Lord. The Lord is very compassionate and merciful. Now, above all, my brothers, do not swear either by heaven or by earth or with any other oath. Yes, or your yes must be yes and your no must be no, so that you won't fall under judgment." Be patient and speak the truth. That's what God is telling us right there. And I think those two messages are so important today. We tend to overlook the fact that we have to bring God into the equation. We have to bring his message into our daily equation for living, because a message like that is something we need to hear in our hearts, that we need to exercise patience. We need to look to the prophets who exercised the most patience under duress and suffering. When everything seemed to be going wrong, it was all a part of God's plan, because God's plan is way beyond anything that we can ever know. But we have to trust in it, and then we have to trust in the Lord and speak the truth as we know it. That's the only two things that we can really, really control with regard to a lot of the stuff we cover here. So let's just remember, believe, have patience in the Lord, believe in God, and speak the truth, and you'll be fine. And I pray that each and every one of you take that message to heart and bring it to others, because that's the whole point of God's message. It's not just for us, it's for everyone. So thank you all for watching. I hope that episode made sense. There was a really condensed amount of information there, so I'm just trying to keep this episode within the time limits, and I really want you guys to go out and do the research yourself. Like I said, you can find that information, qanon.pub, qmap.pub, wherever you want to go, you can go get it, and you can look at it for yourself and start doing your own digging and research, and then watch this video and it can give you more info on that. But I want to say thank you all for watching. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, now is a great time to do it. Come here, hit the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. But I want to say thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.